My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's Bread Week.
I know. It's here. It's early. It's risen early.
It has.
It's an early riser.
It's an early riser. Now, obviously, last week we were sort of full of praise for what a fantastic episode that was.
Yes.
And the bakes in this week's Bread Week,
Amazing.
absolutely spectacular. So what we're going to do is we're going to lead off with the problem and get that out of the way and do it.
But when I've done my corporate training, they always said to sandwich things like a good, a bad, and a good. So I'll just slip a quick good in here.
Okay, go.
There are a couple of cute puppy dogs.
There were some very cute puppy dogs.
There we go.
The game card had a few hits, so yeah, enjoy all of that. There's some positives.
Yeah.
Right, now let's shit sandwich this thing.
Okay. So
That is the most inconsistent piece of judging I have ever seen in my life. It is the most ridiculous decision I've ever seen in my life.
it
That
was
made no... How can somebody have a perfect, absolutely perfect week?
Yeah.
Like, there is not a single critique of Melissa's baking anywhere. It is absolutely perfect. And I have no doubt that Jason's last bake
was really
tasted
good.
fantastic. He was absolutely stone motherless last in the technical.
And okay, so the comparison I've got is when we cut to Melissa in the technical, and she's just like, okay, so for the chantilly cream, I've chilled my bowl and and mixer thing, so because that's how you make a better chantilly cream. Like she when she talks, I love listening to her. She's very intelligent. She's got a lot of skills and knowledge there that she's sharing. Yeah, and then Jason comes around, couldn't follow the plaiting instructions. Like, it's okay.
But he admitted. The thing is, like, it wasn't like, and like our criticism to get this absolutely squared up for everybody is nothing to do with the bakers. I want to make that absolutely plain. The bakers do nothing wrong here. This is completely on the judging because Jason openly admits he can't do those plats, so he's just done his own thing. But by that point...
But he didn't even use a little bit of logic, which is like, you want a tight plait, but you also want to allow the bread to rise. Yeah. So therefore, twisting it together is not going to allow it to rise as much. So he did like those 3 twists first and then plaited it. And I think that's what affected...
it was. And the thing was that he'd overworked it by that point because he kept on trying and trying and trying.
Yeah.
So it was then overworked. But he admitted all of that. And they scored him appropriately. That was the thing.
Yeah, yep.
They scored him absolutely appropriately. Mm-hmm. And he did a brilliant bake. It's an amazing job of saving himself, given where he was possibly at.
Yeah.
So absolutely fantastic work, and kudos to that. You get to the judging, and they started laying groundwork really early about, well, anyone can win the showstopper and win the episode. What is the purpose of the rest of the challenges?
Exactly.
Like, we've talked about it before, and I know that there are some people that go, you're too harsh on this. But in this case, one baker literally did not put a foot wrong at all.
When we get to the technical, it's clear that Melissa is in the lead. Like, if you're looking at those 2 bakes, like, both her and Jason were even in the signature. Coming into the technical, Melissa is clearly ahead. Like, clearly, she's first. Yeah. Jason's last.
She's 10 positions ahead of him.
Yeah.
And then you get to the showstopper. Yeah. And there is not they go, this is an absolutely beautiful showstopper. This is exactly what a showstopper should be. His is amazing too. Do not get me wrong. Absolutely perfect. But we then get the judging where they suddenly tie themselves in knots to justify why Jason is going to win this week over the person that didn't make a single mistake. And that is what I can't understand. Why are we even bothering? Why are we doing 2 other challenges? Why are we not just doing a showstopper and all walking away? Why is this not early season Kiwi?
And to go a little political, right? This is the perfect example of a woman, and a woman of colour, just being highly skilled, doing her thing, doing it well, and then a dude comes through that's doesn't have melatonin in his skin, and wins. So, is this what we've come to?
I mean,
Bake-Off wanting to show a bit of reality. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a different story, but it wasn't told in the editing.
The problem,
this is what it looks like.
The problem is, the editing on this tells a really horrible story if you want to go down that path. What I also want to say just really quickly is I understand that obviously this is new judges, etc. And it's the second season, so they've done this before. Somebody could have read Wikipedia.
Yep.
When they
it's not hard to fact
When
check.
they turn around to Darren and say, has this ever happened before, where someone is last in the technical and comes first and wins Star Baker? And Darren immediately goes, it has never happened before. And all I'm sitting there doing is, well, this is a 2-second check, but I'm sure it has. Monica, season 3. Dave, season 4. Dan, season 5. All came last in the technical and won that week. Monica and Dave were a little bit later in the series, but Dan was week 3. So it was really damn early. It's not that hard to fact check your own show. Don't lie to us.
It's just the care in this particular episode was not there, but
it felt
in this regard, like everything else was fucking brilliant.
The reason I wanted to lead off with this is baking wise an absolutely brilliant bed week.
Wonderful show.
I think the 3 bakes were fantastic. I think all of the bakers did a magnificent job. I cannot fault any of the bakers. You know, like Vicky, bread's not her thing. I thought she did some really good stuff. I think we'll talk about some of her choices in terms of like a no need in the showstopper in Bread Week is probably risky, but I don't think like there was no horrible mistakes. And I mean, look, even what happened with Jason in the technical, it's not a horrible mistake. If you actually go through and look at everyone with the instructions, those instructions are very much insert tab A into flange B. Like it was really difficult to, like, Dimmy looked at the camera and did like an eye raise of when they were explaining the plating instructions.
Yeah.
So they weren't easy instructions to follow. So I have no problem with even that. Like, that happens.
But you can kind of eyeball plaiting, like, not hair. I can't plait hair for shit. But when it comes to bread, because it's laid out there in front of you, you can kind of go, okay, I think this needs to weave this way and this needs to weave that way.
Well, the other issue with that though too, and we'll talk about it when we get to the technical, was that Rachel added 3 extra strands because it's only supposed to be a 3-strand bread, and Rachel added 3 more to make it a 6-strand bread.
Yeah, fuck
so,
you.
You know, you're now not doing it anyway. We'll move on to that. So now we've got the negative out of the way. Let's get into the positive.
But you know, Rachel is a fan of a plait. Like, we've seen her hair.
She definitely is. And
I love it.
Coo Cottage is made up of nothing but animals with plaited hair.
Yeah. You go see the fawns full of fishtails.
Exactly.
Fishbone braids.
They're all full of something. Anyway, we get into Bread Week, and this Bread Week.
See what they do to the hedgehogs. Like, that is
poor bastards. Anyway, we're going to get into Bread Week now because this Bread Week was really good. I wanted to get that out of the way up front because I then want to have a really lovely time talking about this show.
Exactly, and just enjoying all the. This group of bakers just makes my heart
I love watching
sing.
them. I absolutely love watching all of them.
And the use of glitter and gold is so making my heart
Rochelle
sing
Adonis again. Second mention in 2 weeks to Rochelle Adonis. So I loved the intro with the dough line. My favourite line, of course, being Cal's at the end about you bought the wrong sort of rolls. Spectacular work.
Yeah.
Now, we sort of came in. Jason sort of semi-tempted the baking gods, not as much as Mel did later on.
Oh, no.
Where Jason just said, I love bread, and like paused a bit before he said, and it's my week. Adrian then added, I don't trust people that don't like bread. So gluten-free people immediately ran for the hills.
I mean, I do call gluten-intolerant people gluten bigots.
Yeah, they are.
They're really bread bigots. But you know, not by choice. It is by physiology.
It's a decision. You can choose to be deliciously sick. Delicious sickness.
Yes, who doesn't want to be bloated and in pain and
who
cramping
doesn't
and
want
unable
delicious? Who doesn't want delicious bloating? That is a choice. You are making a gluten choice.
Oh my god.
What have I told you? If anything came back and said, for example, that I was celiac and I couldn't have garlic and onions, what have I told you?
You'll just keep eating.
I'll just suffer for the rest of my life because I'm not stopping with that. We'll come back to the garlic and onion talk in a minute too. So the signature was 24 breadsticks with a side. 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Now, they cut to Elliot at the mixer, and Elliot is saying that he's at most in his comfort zone. Now, I assume he meant in making bread and not standing in front of a mixer turning it on.
No.
But it was a bit ambiguous. We said Melissa
he goes
likes
to meditation. They go to a safe, take yourself to a safe space, and it's him envisioning himself in front of a mixer, turning it on.
Arvin likes whisking.
Yes,
and whisks. It's just Elliot just walks over.
Although I have to wonder if Arvin's safe space has been ruined now by Melissa's massive whisk.
I'd like to. I just want to send a message out there as well to the wonderful people at Smeg. Can you please give the people the top of a mixer? Because, like, poor Elliot, when he throws everything into his mixer and turns it on, and he just throws it all back out. A lid, guys, a lid around the mixer. Yeah. Just give it to them. We get a Lurpak sighting, so again, there's now season 9 confirmed. We're getting all the seasons done. Now, Melissa is making baobab breadsticks with a peanut butter porridge.
This was cool. And I love that she's from the people who made peanut butter. And now I've got to ask, has anyone married into the family that make the jelly?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that like the ultimate goal, or are they fierce rivals?
No, their marriage song. They get together, they hold their hand in there. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. That was the wedding dance. Song. Yeah. First dance is the peanut butter jelly time. And the pot from Zimbabwe looks super cool as well. I would very much like one of those. That was the big pot with the big handle. I like the fact, too, it was a pot with a very long handle.
I'm loving all the things I'm learning.
Yeah, but it was a very long-handled pot. Is that to go with the very big whisk? This is what happens Melissa, question without notice. Does Zimbabwe have a thing for, long handles on things? Is that what Zimbabwe is, largely? Like a door?
Zimbabwe means the place of long handles.
Place of long handles. Much like... Much like one of her last names is those who make peanut butter. Zimbabwe means place of long handles.
Please don't hate us, Zimbabwe.
We love you.
We love you. And we love your long handles.
Now, Adrian wants to give homage to Grissini.
Oh, who doesn't?
And same, my guy, same. Black garlic and sesame done in a twist merged together.
Yum.
With a mortadella pate. Did you ever think you'd hear the words mortadella pate?
No, and now I want it in my face. You know me, I'm here for a pate. But, get to Arvin. Whoever you got to get through him, because we need to get to Arvin. He's my man.
Whoever you've got to get through. Apologies to you, Lorena, to start with.
Sorry, Lorena.
Caraway seeds with salmon and sun-dried tomato dip. The caraway and salmon. I like that combination. That's a really cool little combo.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't skip Lorena. Yeah, I want that too.
Yeah.
I think I'm just hungry.
You are. Yeah. So, now Vicky admits that she's not really a bread maker, which is a bit of a problem when you go into Bake-Off because bread week's early. So she does try to keep it relatively simple. Now, before we get into her bake itself, she also volunteers at a place called Cake Angels. I look forward to being able to ask her a bit more about that because that looks really cool.
Oh, look, I think, any way that you can support people going through tough times is wonderful.
Exactly. Now, her breadsticks.
Yep.
We'll call them breadsticks and we'll come back.
Baby baguettes.
Rosemary, parmesan, and garlic. Rosemary, parmesan, and garlic breadsticks with a caramelized onion and bacon dip.
It's got bacon.
Yeah, it's caramelized onion and bacon. Right, now, bacon. Apparently...
Make a pancakes. If you haven't seen...
It doesn't take her long.
If you haven't seen the Green Parrot Brigade and little Augie, the little Quaker parrot who likes the song Bacon Pancakes, please go look it up. It's so cute.
Look, it's not an evening in our house if Kristie's not singing Bacon Pancakes, and why would she stop now?
But not like they do on Adventure Time, like Augie does. Yeah.
So, anyway.
Bacon.
Anyway, so... The rosemary, parmesan, and garlic breadsticks with the caramelized onion and bacon. Now breadsticks.
Yeah.
They were beautifully tasty bread rolls. They were dippers. You could call them dippers.
Yeah, but you go to a normal Aussie bakery, right? And you ask for a breadstick. What are they going to get you? They're going to get you one of those big-ass long ones. Like, the French might call them baguettes, but they're not actually baguettes because baguettes are, I assume, specific.
Yeah.
And so, you get a breadstick, and they're quite big and chunky.
Well, then she should have made 24 of those.
She probably thought,
I would have done that.
This is a bit weird. I don't think the oven's big enough for a proper breadstick.
I would have done that. I would have made 24 of those big, long crusts.
Just sesame on top.
What's the dip? And it's got a vat.
If you put... if you brought 24 of those out in 2 hours, like fucking star breaker straight away. Doesn't matter what you do for the next 2.
Are they consistent? Darren, can you measure them for me?
They're all exactly 24 inches.
What I really liked...
24 by 24.
So, what I liked, by the way, too, if you watched carefully and watched the way they all presented their breadsticks, the problem that Ryan faced with his was that he stood them all upright in a container.
Yeah.
The others were really clever. They laid them down
flat.
and they sort of manoeuvred them. There were a couple that quite clearly were not the same size.
No.
But they just manoeuvred them. Ryan's mistake was he stood them all upright and made it really obvious. What he should have done is cut the bottoms off them in the container. They weren't looking. But no. Instead, just left them sit there. Everyone else moved theirs around.
Sticking out the dip.
They hid them in
Hedgehog
dip.
style.
They hid them in a dip. They covered them over with bits.
Pork your dip.
So, they put them in bundles and put the smaller ones in the middle of the bundle.
Yeah.
Very clever designs. Now, Elliot brought out the first major bread pun from the bakers, where he went, I like this and I'm going to prove it. Now, he also said that bread had been a huge...
I do like the low-key slipping in of puns in this episode. Like, usually everyone goes, bread week, we're going to go hard on puns, which I'm usually all here for, but this one I'm kind of like, I'm going to be cool about the puns.
Now, Elliot also stressed that bread had been a huge part of his life, and I'm imagining personally...
Same with me.
Well, I'm imagining all the special events that Brett has attended for him. Like, his first...
birth.
Was he raised by loaves?
In some Yorkshire hospital, a nice cob loaf.
Yeah, we had to get up in the morning. I was raised by a bread loaf.
It was a little cottage loaf with its little hat on was his midwife.
My mum went down pit, fed half family. Anyway, so...
But I didn't realise they married a Yorkshireman.
His sort of, first sort of concerts at school, attended by the Bread family, all of them there. Learning to drive, comes back, they're in the driveway cheering him on.
His first crush was just
sat on a bread roll.
A really saucy pair of baps.
No. Someone should be keelhauled for that one. And you know who should be? It was Elliot, because he put raisins in his breadstick. And Elliot, we're joking around because I really love you. Except raisins, dude. Raisins.
Oh, just move on, Chris.
Raisin and coriander.
At least it wasn't fucking matcha.
But here's the funny part. Raisin and coriander, and there's probably more people on the planet that will have problems with the coriander. I have no issue with the coriander, but I'm not here for the raisins. With roasted red capsicum. Mm-hmm. Now, the person I really do love in there, of course, is Arvin. And the reason I love Arvin is the first sentence out of this man's mouth was, when I think about savoury, I think garlic and onion.
Yep, and then he had me at chicken liver parfait.
He had you at chicken liver parfait. He had me at garlic and onion. He goes, so that's what I'm doing. And the first thing they show is the pan with just like butter and onion and garlic. And I am just salivating at the thought of this guy. I don't care what you've made. It's fantastic.
No, that's not a cow in the background. That's just me going in my very weird voiced way. Red
wine shallots. I'm here for the red wine shallots too. And the chicken liver parfait, which you were, watching him make very intensely. Mm-hmm. So Molly then points out her, as she calls it, leaning tower of cheese. It just looks like our fridge. There were many containers, all full of a variety of cheeses.
Yes.
Feta, parmesan, and blue cheese with prosciutto in the middle of it, which was very clever. And a blue cheese and fig dip, which is, the big hit at all the schools.
Look, I just love how far we've come in 30 years. 30 years ago, what would a kid want between their bread?
The snacks.
The snacks? Devon.
Devon.
I just love Devon tomato sauce.
I just love the idea that 30 years ago, a luxurious cheese for a child was Le Snack. And here we have a 16-year-old making a blue cheese and fig.
It's the modern Le Snack.
We've moved on. Breadsticks and breadstick and blue cheese and fig Le Snack.
Uncle Toby's tries to make a comeback in the crackers and dip scene, crackers and cheese scene, and they're like, we can't afford it. We need we need to import actual fromage from France.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, King Island Dairy was put up for sale, so
Yeah, anyone who wants to buy me something for my birthday, which is not until next year, and I don't care. There you go.
Now.
It's right there.
Now, Jason. Now, Jason's one was... I actually really liked Jason's flavour combination too, though. Honey, sesame and caraway breadsticks with feta and harissa dip. Like, dude, you had me at harissa. I love me some harissa.
Look, it's a beautiful combination, and I love how crispy he got the sticks as well.
His crisp on those were absolutely sensational. Again, honey, sesame, and caraway is a really nice combination too. Like the different punchiness of that flavour is very good. Dimmy went coriander and sea salt.
Nice. Simple.
To balance it out though with her Sri Lankan beetroot dip, which looked really... I'm not a massive beetroot fan.
No, but that looks really
I
good.
would have etten it.
I love dip. I love beetroot. I love dip.
You love dip? You do love dip.
I love beetroot, and I love what Dimmy brought.
Now, Jaden... I am, as long as Jaden wants to keep doing things like putting saltbush and putting wattle seed, and I'm here for it. Saltbush at native time with roasted bush tomatoes and pineapple dip. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I really appreciate, first of all, I appreciate the fact that he's going, I'm going to use my native flavours. I'm going to use the things I grew up on. I'm going to use the bush tucker stuff.
Okay, can you imagine going on one of his tours, right?
I'd love to.
Now, I believe it's Kagari, which is like Fraser Island, for the old speak, for the old people. But Kagari for the even older people, because, First Nations. You're out there, right? He's got no backpack or anything. He's just walking along. He goes, give me a minute. 5 seconds later, this full fucking charcuterie board appears of all this deliciousness. It's like, where did that come from? He's like, I've just been picking it on the way. Just been making it up. And then you've got to show off the dingoes.
I like the idea now that what we've actually sort of come up with in this whole conversation...
A dingo ate my prosciutto.
What we've come up with now in this combination is 2 different options for Uncle Toby's if they want to re-enter. Like, we've either got the fancy blue cheese and fig route, or we've got the native one, native charcuterie, or blue cheese and fig premium class. The snacks could be so big again.
I know.
Like, all of these things.
Oh, but they'd have to not have the plastic thing. They'd have to come in, like, a new, like, biodegradable container. Probably something made out of algae.
Algae, possibly. Bamboo, like something like that.
Bit of column A, bit of column B.
Ryan.
Bamboo algae.
Now, Ryan went with Flavours of Mexico, which...
Balgi. Oh, no, he was from...
That's Balky. Anyway, Ryan did Flavours of Mexico. Now, the way he started to describe this was great. He goes, I'm doing Flavours of Mexico because I got married in Canada.
Look.
And I knew where he was going with it, but the way he said that was... He should have just cut to I went on my honeymoon to Mexico. But I got married in Canada, and then we went to Mexico for my honeymoon, which, they did. Murray River sea salt sighting, by the way, the first sighting of the container, the big blue and red container.
Yep, thank you.
So there's season 10. We've paid for everything now. Yep. And also, just on a personal note, Ryan and Kate are ridiculously adorable.
Yes, they
have to throw that out there. Mexican Fiesta.
Oh, you know that photo they had of them at the 12 Apostles?
Yes.
I've been there. I've had a photo taken.
You have.
It was very cold. It was very early in the morning, and parts of me turned blue. And then my friend who insisted I take a photo like that was going to take a photo too. She's like, oh, I won't take my bra off. I'm like, oh, you fucking will. Well, 5 seconds later, the first of the other tourists started arriving. So it was perfect timing that we got in, got out. No bits turned purple, and we didn't scare the locals.
Anyway, it was a Mexican Fiesta Grissini, and that was made of polenta, so it would be like polenta chips, and then guacamole, salsa, and queso.
I also saw really cute little wrens down there as we were walking along. But anyway, yes, salsa. We're only at the
Mexican salsa, yes.
Mexican salsa, yes. Hello, Amanda.
Hello to everyone who watches Smosh. Anyway, the judging, because it's bread week, and bread week is pretty fast in terms of actually talking about it, because it's just good bread. The judging. Jason. Rachel said it looked inviting. Darren liked the crispiness and made a point that it was really good that they were thin, which I hated this bit, because it was one of 2 times that I think the cameraman did Vicky really dirty.
Well, it wasn't the cameraman, it was the edit choice.
The edit choice, yes. So he goes, oh, it's a good point that those breadsticks are thin. Then they cut to Vicky, who was like, glanced down at her really large, oversized breadsticks, like, oh, right. I thought that...
Were we getting a little bit of fat phobia in that too? Like, it just...
I think it was... I
know it was about the breadsticks, but it just...
Anyway.
I don't know. Anyway. I just feel very judgy. in this episode.
Then the whipped feta that he had was also quite good.
Yum.
Melissa, Darren was impressed with the breadsticks. Thought they were great. They said the sourness of the baba was excellent. Then Rachel liked the peanut flavour as well, and just thought it balanced beautifully. So again, positive comments.
Yeah.
Ryan, Rachel liked the look of them, although Darren then noticed they weren't uniform. Rachel loved the polenta taste, and Darren really liked how the dips, and especially commented on the guac, and he thought the guac worked really well.
Yes. And look, I just want to clarify for anyone who's new and listening. I'm a fat-bodied person too, and I'm a fat activist, and like I will use that term as a descriptor, not as an insult. So when I talk about fat phobia and that kind of thing, I am not casting judgment on people. I'm casting judgment on perceptions that can influence things. Just over-explaining because my neurospicy brain needs to make sure that I'm understood. Just saying.
There'll be another conversation in 5 minutes where she explains her neurospiciness, just to back that up. So
it's not going to be a flavour in bread weight.
I'm having hints of neurospicy.
Is that ADHD? Am I tasting a little bit of autism?
It's just sparkling autism. Arvin. So yes. Really good display. Rachel liked the combination. Cal liked the fact that they were bundled into 3 easy packages for her to take one away.
Yeah, smart.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Vicky. Now, Rachel asked if they were more like bread logs. But they then said the garlic was well used. Darren wanted a bit more colour, which I agreed with. They did look slightly blonde. Mm-hmm. But the dip was excellent as well. And they said that, especially, as I said before, that use of garlic, it wasn't overpowering. It was really well balanced. So like the flavour, they said, was incredible.
Yep.
Elliot. They all pretty much looked the same size. That was Darren's exact quote. Rachel liked the raisins. She wasn't expecting to. Because who does expect to like raisins? Darren really liked the dip that he had going with it as well, though. Now, Dimmy, they liked the twist that she got on her breadsticks, but, again, felt they needed a little bit more colour. They said the dip was really vibrant and fresh. Jaden, they absolutely loved the texture and the colours that he got in his breadsticks. The flavours were really good, and they really liked that chutney as well with the bush tomato. Mm-hmm. Bush tomato is really underused. It's really underused. I sort of like bush tomato flavour almost more than normal tomato flavour.
But you don't like normal tomatoes.
I don't eat raw normal tomatoes. I'll cook them.
Even though you've been growing them, and they're quite delicious.
I cook them in things, and I love cooking tomato in things, but I don't really eat...
But you're not a fan of, like, the classical sayo with a bit of cheese and tomato in it.
No, but remember, I've talked about this with burgers. I believe that a tomato on a burger is just a massive net to drag everything else off the burger with.
Yes, because you're not eating it properly.
Anyway, Molly, they said that they liked the cheeses that she had, and the prosciutto added a really nice smokiness to it. Mm-hmm. And then Darren liked the blue cheese and fig dip as the contrast with a bit of sweetness in there.
Yeah, because nothing contrasts cheese with cheese.
Yeah, nothing contrasts a blue cheese breadstick than blue cheese.
Nice work, Molly.
Well done.
You are the child I want.
Exactly. Adrian,
I am your aunt now.
Adrian, Rachel was impressed by the braided grissini dough. Rachel loved the dips as well. This is where Cal gave the "you must have been flat out." No. And then Lorena, the twisting was really good. They said they were a bit blonde on the sticks. The flavour was really good, both on the breadsticks and the dip. Mm-hmm. And then they cut to Melissa, who's like out there eating her breadsticks and goes, "Yep, that's really good." And then she looks at the camera and goes, "Bread week could just be my week." I'm like, no.
Melissa.
No.
Is this what happened, okay? So they would have given her star baker, but the gods have come down and gone, Darren.
She tempted.
She's not going to fuck up.
But she tempted.
But she tempted us. And you know what that means? I will curse this shed if you don't.
Maybe Darren and Rachel meant to write Melissa, but accidentally spelt it Jason.
The gods just like came down and possessed them, and they wrote.
No, they just forgot how. They just forgot how to spell. And they meant to write Melissa, but they thought they were. But what they spelt it Melissa was Jason.
Hi, I'm Phil Oakey from the Human League. Friends coming over unexpectedly. Need some canapes which reflect a touch of class, but can be ready in a flash. Enjoy quick, tasty canapes with our new range of air fryer snacks called Do You Forget About Brie? All the things you love about bread, filled with the finest French brie, and ready in no time at all. served with our Indian-inspired korma chameleon dipping sauce. Dough you forget about brie. Available now. It'll leave you wanting more, more, more.
Now we get to the technical. And they talk about the idea that Rachel likes this because she has to put her feet up. And Darren puts on tiny running shorts and shouts at bees. I would love to know the backstory behind coming up with that one. You know, every now and then, and I don't know if you felt that, there's been occasional moments in this series with things that the hosts have yelled out.
Yep.
Where I have wondered, what was the backstory to someone going, I dare you?
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a dare.
Yeah.
All right. The technical. The technical sounds like the name of a German cleaning product. Zoff.
Look, it'll...
You know, it's like Brat and all of those weird cleaners. Zoff.
You'll buy it at Aldi.
Yep, it's an Aldi brand. Zoff.
Yeah. Kind of looks like it's in the Windex packaging, but it's not.
Cleans your kitchen to a really good level.
Yeah, and it's like half the price. Why would you pay more?
Yeah, exactly.
And I picked, for the money I saved, I picked up this fishing gear. I don't fish, but it was good.
I got a fridge from the middle aisle. It was great. And another cupboard. You know what I put in the cupboard? What? Zoff. So, Zoff with chantilly cream. Mm-hmm. The clues were the position is everything and do get in a twist. Now, they pointed out again that I said before, the braided loaf was made from 3 strands, but added 3 extra strands to make it 6, and they had 2.5 hours to get this done.
Look, I just think the Austrians are very good with their carbs. Like
Austrians do carbs superbly.
They do. Like, the spatzel is just, like they're like, fuck pasta, fuck noodles. We're making spatzel. Like, that's just comfort food right there.
You get all that. You get they do really good doughs of all descriptions.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
They're like, schnitzel, let's do this. Like, fucking chicken, that's just protein. How are we going to get some carbs on this motherfucker?
So, Rachel's comments were that it's a roasted vanilla chantilly.
Germany, you say. How are we going to get... Oh, wait. No. Wrong Austrian.
No. Roasted vanilla chantilly. The braid needed to be even and very tight. And she also said that it needed a golden shine on that crust.
Yeah.
Now, the braiding.
Melissa just surreptitiously pulls out some gold leaf.
Yes, I got this.
I got this.
So, the braiding. Take the strand in position 2 and cross it up into the right-hand corner of your bench to become position 6.
Yeah, I know what that means.
That is the first instruction.
Yep, I got that.
You've got that?
Yeah, I do.
Dimmy, early career teacher that she is, looked at the camera as if to say, huh?
Look, obviously that person is creating instructions for me, but
Just
not
you.
other people.
Just you.
I don't know. Why does this make sense to me and everything else in my life is confusing?
Straightforward instructions don't work for you, but that makes sense.
I know, because you're picking up... Okay, so you've got you've got the row of things here, right?
Yes.
You're picking up the second strand.
Yes.
You're pulling it across so it's going straight across the others to fall into the last place. Boom! Position 6. Line 3.
Welcome back to Now You See It. Line 3, position 6, Zoff. Thank you, Mike Me. You have now won a computer for your school. We are coming up with all the modern references this series. Last week it was a country practice up the wazoo. This week it's Now You See It.
And a little Perfect Strangers.
And some Perfect Strangers as well. Plus, talking about the range of products you can buy in Aldi. And let's face it, everyone knows it's coming. There's a whole Ikea section still to happen. So, Adrian.
Get yours off ready.
Get yours off ready, folks. So, Adrian. Now, he turns around and goes, after Breadsticks, I thought, I'll never braid again. And in my head, my head being what it is, I immediately...
Never gonna braid again.
Guilty fingers got no rhythm.
And out of the back, Elliot comes in with a saxophone solo.
Now, by the way, for anyone who thinks we planned this, no, we did not. That was not planned. I had a thing in my head. No. She reads my mind. Everyone was baffled by the braiding instructions. Jason just went, I'm doing my own thing. Like, he just went, look, I'm doing my... And here's the thing.
Went rogue.
But here's the thing.
He put on a leather jacket
But here's the thing: if Jason
lit up a cigarette,
not
got on his motorbike and went, "This where this bread's going, we need no roads." Well, I do because I got a motorcycle.
But if Jason had just decided early on, I'm going to braid this the way I want to braid it.
Yeah.
He probably would have come mid-pack because the braid wouldn't have looked right, but he wouldn't have overworked the dough by having so many different goes at the damn thing.
Yeah.
And so he probably would have sat mid-pack. And I'm not saying this in terms of justifying then he could down the line be this.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is if he'd made a choice early on and gone, this is just, don't go have 4 or 5 goes at this, just go, no, I'll do my own thing straight away. He probably comes mid-pack and he's probably okay.
Yeah. But let's not dwell on that because we're sweetness and fucking light, Chris.
Arvin then follows our sweetness and fucking light by looking at his approved bake and goes, I think it looks acceptable. And there's nothing like confidence. Nothing like confidence coming from Arvin right now.
I like Arvin and Lorena's. They're the spectrum of...
Arvin and Lorena have just really, the level of confidence. We all need the level of self-care and love that Lorena has for her own baking.
Lorena's got her back so hard, and I'm fucking here for it.
Yeah.
She's like, it's 97 degrees. It's 97 degrees.
We'll come back to the 97 degrees because that's hilarious.
For it.
Then we go off like a blistering vanilla bean in a pan. They all get theirs. They all get... He did it. I had to go there.
Yeah.
They all get theirs out of the proving drawers. Dimmy is worried that hers hasn't risen quite as much as the rest of them. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where Melissa talks about chilling all of the equipment for the chantilly, which is very clever.
Skill. Knowledge. Boss.
Medium peak. Confused people, and I don't know why.
Yeah, because they needed to write it in Gen A speak for Molly. So it was mid-peak.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, so it's not a great peak. It's just mid.
Mid-peak, yeah.
I'm learning the young people's speaks is where I'm at.
I still remember the day you came home having learnt what YOLO meant.
Yeah, and yeet.
And yeet. Yeet was a better one. Yeet was the funny one.
But you know what's funny? Yeet is probably so old-fashioned for Molly. She's like, oh, I remember saying that when I was 2.
Yes.
On my iPhones, watching my Netflix.
How sour do you think 2-year-old Molly was?
Look, I think...
I remember yeet on my phone.
Yeah.
16-year-old girl speak right here. I remember yeet on my phone.
I was a 16-year-old girl. I knew how we spoke.
You've seen her with the denim overalls.
I know.
Denim overalls and fucking embroidered flowers.
Skipping through the
member of Girlfriend. She was happy with numbers of cheese.
Yeah.
She was happy with a cheese mountain on her bench.
She was. And who wouldn't be?
Exactly.
This child is blessed by cheese.
Now, Jason continued his Peralta reactions. Mm-hmm. Because, we talked last week about, he was reacting like Peralta. Mm-hmm. And... he tastes his chantilly and he's like, it's good, it's really good, damn, and it's working himself up. It's that Peralta Boyle hybrid just continuing. And we're done. That's kind of it. Yeah. So, judging. Melissa. Good sheen, very neatly braided, tight, looked awesome, perfect. Their words. Jaden, perfectly braided, very light and soft. The cream needed a bit more whipping, but the bread was fantastic.
Yeah, I needed to Devo that shit.
Ryan, Darren loved the shine of it, said the braiding was quite good, but the dough was a little bit tight. Mm-hmm. Needed a bit more air, but the chantilly was very smooth. Vicky, they said that the braiding was done by a creative. Beautiful flavour. The only issue was the braid. And that's the example of what I mean, because the braid was the only thing that Vicky got wrong, and she came mid-pack. So, Lorena, good braid in the middle, but a bit raggedy at the ends. Looked good. The dough was not quite there, though.
Yeah, could have covered that up with a well-placed scrunchie.
Yes.
Whenever I braid my hair and it's not looking great, just a good hair tie at the end, If you want to be a bit sadistic, get one of the ones with the 2 hard bobbles on the end. There, fuckers.
Molly.
Oh my God, my fingernails are hurting just speaking about them.
Anyway, Molly, tight and neat braid, the flavour
I know I'm not the only one. There'll be people listening to this going, oh, Kristie, that's a childhood trauma we didn't need. back at the ranch. Sorry.
Molly, tight and neat braid. Flavour was fantastic and a really good chantilly cream. Mm-hmm. They really liked her chantilly, actually.
Yeah.
Elliot, big, good colour. Light, but the crust was a bit too thick.
Mm-hmm.
Not a complaint I normally have. Like the good crispy crust. I'm a fan of that. Anyway. Arvin, many different braids. The orange blossom was great. However, the bread itself looked a touch, and it did look a touch over. It looked like he'd probably done it for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
I was really surprised, by the way, for something that contained orange blossom. We barely heard about the orange blossom.
Yeah.
I thought that orange, normally on a bake-off, orange blossom would have been the point of conversation.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they actually gave them the quantities for it and didn't
make them guess.
Yeah, like this isn't Canadian.
If this was Canadian, they would have just said orange blossom to your taste.
Yeah, and then braid.
Yeah, braid.
Braid. Pick how many strands.
Or braid correctly.
Braid correctly, and they'd be like,
yes. Pick a number between 3 and 7.
Yeah.
Something like that would have happened in Canadian. So
pick a number between 3 and 7, eh? The Canadian mafia's after you.
So Dimmy, the braiding was a bit off, but great flavour. Apparently, she had the fluffiest of the chantillies.
Ooh.
That feels like a little calling card, like note on it. The fluffiest of the chantillies. That's a slogan for advertising. Jason.
Weren't the Chantilly's a 60s group, 50s group?
No, Chantilly Lace was a big bopper song.
Yeah.
Jason. Now, Jason, they said, had freestyle braiding. A bit flatter. The flavour was there, but the texture wasn't. And then it was really weird. Because, like, Rachel had it and said at the start that the texture wasn't quite there. And then afterwards got very serious. But actually, the more I eat of this, it's really dense and I'm not really enjoying it that much. Like, she seemed to sort of get really... It's okay. No, it's not. And I'm like, that was weird. And then I think it might have also been they looked at the one next to it, which was Adrian's, which they opened with awesome. Braiding was perfect. It was delicious. Met all specifications.
I'm glad he got over his braiding trauma.
Yeah. Well, no, he went,
braid again.
No, he went, but he did. Yeah, we did braid again, and that was fine. He probably should have braided in the third. That would have helped him. So from last to first, Jason, Arvin, Dimmy, Ryan, Lorena, Elliot, Vicky, Molly, Jaden, Adrian, and Melissa wins the technical.
Ooh.
But as I said, like Vicky came 5th.
Yeah.
And she did her own braid. She just made it up. So probably if you just made your own braid, you would have done a bit better. So the showstopper, 2 scored loaves, and they must be intricately decorated.
Yeah.
Now, 4.5 hours. Now the brief was just to decorate them. Like it was, there was no like it was basically they were supposed to be scored and painted. There's no however you chose to do that was up to you. Now, I'm not going to go back through all of the judges' corner stuff. I'm just going to say they had Melissa as the best with Jaden, and then they had Vicky and Jason as the 2 at risk. But then they had that whole caveat, which felt really out of place. Anyway, we then get to the more important point of judges' corner, however.
Yes.
Which was when Nat turns around to Cal and goes, "So what are they talking about?" And Cal posits that Darren is talking about the time that he accidentally had a bath in Ikea and had to dry himself with one of those blue bags and then had to put one of them on to walk out, like it was all rustly and scratchy. Now, first of all, Cal...
Why didn't he just go get a towel?
Now, first of all, Cal claimed... Yeah, well, I was about to say, first of all, Cal claims that, he had to dry himself with a blue bag. Ikea has towels!
They do. I mean, maybe he's like one of those people that's like, oh, I can't dry myself with a towel until I've washed them because it's got that stuff on them that keeps them from, I don't know, being absorbent.
I don't know, was he going to possibly, because the bathroom stuff at Ikea, all the bathroom layouts and stuff like that at Ikea are around where the kitchen layouts are at Ikea and the lounge chairs. And was he worried about dripping all over the kitchen because he had to cook later?
Maybe. Yeah, that could have been it. He was like, look, I've had a bath here. I really can't. I can't take the piss too much.
Also, when you go to Ikea, all of those kitchen setups have like windows and stuff. Was he worried about walking past and like disturbing the neighbours?
Do you remember a movie or something from when we were kids I don't know if it was a bit before your time, because I'm a little bit older.
We're not separated by that much.
No. But there was a movie with, I think, some Australian kids that got stuck in a supermarket, and it was like this kind of like, oh no, our mums forgot us at the supermarket, but yay, we can have chocolate biscuits for dinner.
I mean, it doesn't feel like a rich plot.
No.
It feels like a plot that runs out pretty fast, to be honest with you.
It really does, but I think it was like kind of like showing, yeah, sure, you can have chocolate biscuits for dinner, but you're going to have a sore tummy afterwards.
I do like that we've lost the ability in movies now to have plots where you like get trapped in a store overnight because of the amount of fucking sensors and cameras and
cameras, some are open 24/7.
Yeah.
Like you can't get trapped
7-Eleven.
by accident at a 7-Eleven or a 24-hour Kmart.
Exactly.
That is by choice.
Are you going to make a movie about just being in a 24-hour Kmart? It's the new 24-hour party people.
Oh my God, there's probably a TikToker who has
24-hour Kmart people.
24-hour Kmart people. Fucking Vince Vaughn walking down. Oh, hold on, who was in that?
They're down in the Squishmallow section.
Yeah.
Then they go over to the mountain bikes. They go, we can ride these bikes. And the people walking the counter say, guys, can you just put the bikes back, please?
They go over to
the... Are you going to buy something?
The serve yourself bath bombs. And just... set up a bowls club, like a bowls.
Oh, I'm here now. I need someone to make a short film called 24-Hour Kmart People, which is just people that go to 24-hour Kmarts.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Ikea would be more fun to be trapped in, but
24-hour Kmart people.
But also, like, none of it's plumbed. I like the idea that Darren did actually have a bath at Ikea.
I mean, Bunnings just had a rave.
But I do like the idea that... Well, I mean, you know there are Ikeas over in America that do bingo.
What?
Yeah, the Tempe, Arizona Ikea. I know this because I see it online. I get really disappointed it's not out here.
Because it's not Tempe.
Because I see Tempe Ikea and I get excited, but it's not. But Tempe, Arizona's Ikea. They do bingo where you can win Ikea gift cards.
Wow.
I would go to Ikea over night time and play bingo for Ikea gift cards. Wow. I would do that. But I like the idea that Darren might have actually had a bath at Ikea and just gone to like the cupboards and like taken the water out of the front and used that and filled up the bath with the bottles. Like
he had the bag there because he'd filled up a bag full of the bottles
he
of water.
Worked out that it wasn't plumbed, but was like, no, I'm here now.
Got it sorted.
I'm here now, in for a penny. Not going home.
No.
So... Unfortunately, though, he couldn't get his cake to work in the oven for some reason. He's just looking at the oven going, it's not working, damn it. Why isn't it working?
He tried to break into the canteen, the cafe to do it, but...
Pulls out one of the Dame frozen cakes instead. Look what I made. Okay, so Arvin.
Starts chewing on a few frozen meatballs.
Quite bulla. He's eating frozen cock bulla.
He's like, I'm just going to dip it in some lingonberry sauce.
Well, if you go to the right Ikeas, of course, they do have the, they've all of the Ikeas have a food court.
Yeah.
So go to the food court. Arvin. So Arvin was making parole loaves, which are the lanterns from the festivals over there. Beer loaves, basically.
Yeah. I love how the Philippines subtly has a lot of things in common with Australia.
Yeah.
We like to have a festival, like to have some beer. Although, I guess that's most Western cultures and cultures that have alcohol as part of their celebrations.
Largely.
Yeah.
Jason's loaf was charred corn, jalapeno, and cheese, which sounded incredible.
Yeah.
And the cross-section of that, by the way, when they cut into it, 100% here for it. I would like the recipe, please. So, Melissa, we used the finger millet. It's Geo.
Finger millet good.
It's Geo. No, Geo pronounced Geo, but it's Zvio.
Ooh.
I had to look that up. And baobab again. Obviously, had some left over from the first challenge.
We're going to have to find all these flavours.
And they said about, the decorations, bright and bold. And she's like, yep, bright, but minimum of 7 colours.
Minimum.
They were bright. They were really well decorated.
And they were bold, and there was gold.
Vicky. Now, I love Vicky's because of the honeybee thing.
Yes, that was very cute.
Mentioning, obviously, she works for, from what she said, the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
And, bee awareness. Bee awareness is a thing. We're actually redoing our whole front garden to be bee friendly, to bring bees.
Yes.
So because they are being wiped out. Pesticides, disease,
mites. Those little mites in them.
And it's important. So the honey oat bread sounded really cool. The no need, as I said, I think for home, absolutely brilliant idea. For a Bake-Off showstopper in Bread Week, you probably need to do a kneaded bread.
Yeah, look, I think this is possibly... I don't think her skill was lacking. I think a little bit of courage. You know, I just want to go... I just want to be the wizard.
And
I want to come along. I want to give her a medal. And I want to see her score some stuff.
And I get why. Because as she said, bread's not really what she does. So she probably was a bit more worried about stepping outside and trying that.
And look, it was probably a safe... Like, I think if you went up against so many strong bakers... what she did was play it safe. So if someone had an absolute disaster, there's a chance that she stayed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it was a
gamble.
It was a gamble.
Elliot made homemade sourdough. Started with with his own starter, and it was a bit of a rustic theme. Now his mother starter, he said he's had it for 6 years. I think he said.
Yeah,
but
5 years.
5 years. But the mother starter, Susie, is 20 years old. So what I want everyone here to contemplate is that Elliot's starter was older than Molly.
The mother dough. Oh my God, he is a boy. Oh no, that's
Elliot.
I'm thinking of Jason.
Elliot brought a mother starter that is still
the mother starter.
That is still not the youngest thing inside that shed. Speaking of Molly, Kalamata Olives with a mandala star design. I really love the way she's like, I've scored it. I mean, I hope it works. And then she just looks at the camera and in a very teenager way goes, otherwise people are going to get some crispy olives. And she had a look on her face like a teenager. Because what happens if they get a bit burnt? And she looked, you get a crispy olive?
Like a crispy olive.
It had a feeling of the kid working at Pizza Hut. And someone's like, well, what happens if it gets stuck in the oven? It's like, it's a bit crispy.
Get a crispy olive.
Now, Jaden, native oregano and roasted wattle seed bush damper.
Nice.
Really cool. And again, I am here for wattle seed and everything.
He's just walking along the beach of Kagari and out comes just this damper that he's prepared earlier.
Now, Ryan went with his Day of the Dead bread. Pumpkin spices, cranberry, and again, pumpkin flavour as well. I liked the way that Ryan actually made the pumpkin. I thought that was very cool.
Cute.
That was quite cool. Now again, as I said, Vicky had been recipient of that earlier camera cut, which I thought was a bit poor. She's discussing the fact that she's not using a razor blade on it because it was a wet dough, and also that she likes the rustic look because she's here for the simplistic rustic style. The next cut was to Melissa carving really intricate patterns in her loaf with a razor blade. And I'm like, are you trying to make Vicky look like, you know...
We got it, you know, like, I think the story was clear about who was going home. I think the Star Baker story could have been a little bit more...
Could have put this effort into something else.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But I do like Molly's comment. When she's like, I think I'm too young to be using a razor blade. This generation... whom I adore. I think there's so much hope and wonder there. Do they have to get a razor blade license? Like you get your pen license?
Yeah, pen license. I got given my pen license, I've mentioned on this podcast before, out of pity.
pity pen license.
I was like, you're going to high school shortly, we should probably give you a pen license.
I don't think I never officially got a pen license. It was more like, you're at high school now, feel free to use a pen.
I got a pen license for, again, default, the two sweetest words in the English language. Now, Lorena, her bake was inspired by her grandmother's garden with all the flowers and stuff like that. Rye and plain flour loaves. And this is where she turns around and she goes, look, I really like the decoration. I don't really care about the bread. It's more the decoration. Now, Dimmy was making another Mexican fiesta. So Ryan had a Mexican fiesta in the first. Then you've got a Day of the Dead bread from Ryan. You've got the jalapeno loaf from Jason. Now you've got a Mexican fiesta with Mexican spices and jalapeno.
And who's out the back with the tequila?
This week very quickly became pseudo-Mexican week. And the funniest part is still more representative than the British actually doing Mexican week.
And you know what it is? It's also more representative of the British doing Japan week.
Yeah, again... It was far more representative. Without trying, it's a better Mexican week than British Mexican week. Adrian was then decorating his...
I mean, that said, the British didn't conquer Mexico, so, you know, how are they to know?
I like the fact that your defense is not colonialism for a change. Anyway, Adrian was decorating his bread with his husband's star sign.
How are they supposed to do anything if they didn't conquer it?
With his star sign and his husband's star sign. Now, I was disappointed with this.
2 water signs, like that's got to be a
I was disappointed personally.
Sensitive-ass household.
I was disappointed with this personally. Because I thought you had the chance to do the funniest thing flavour-wise and have one crab flavoured and one with chunks of scorpion in it.
Oh, fuck
like,
yeah.
Why did we get...
Or at least...
Why did we get a lemon and fennel and olive when we could have got scorpion and crab?
Okay, you do the scorpion right. You have scorpion bits in there, but you know how scorpion doesn't really have a flavour? It's fucking kill it with chili, like fucking ghost chili.
The bite.
Like a bite stings the shit out of you.
That would have been spectacular.
Yeah. I can't someone with the crab. Crab.
Oh, you could have done that height of fanciness. The height of fanciness in our house.
Oh yes.
When we had people over, the height of fanciness was you take a Philadelphia cream cheese.
Ooh.
And you put it down.
Yes.
And then you get a tin of crab meat and you tip it on top of it.
What?
And then you have biscuits and crab meat and cream cheese.
Glenda.
Yeah, that was.
You've been holding out on me.
Yeah, so that was what Mum used to do.
Oh my gosh.
I never used to eat it.
No.
I used to eat the homemade salmon dip.
That sounds alright.
Because you know how McCormick's used to do the packet dips?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to get the homemade packet salmon dip, which I was addicted to. Which, if you work it out, is just basically a version of a rose sauce almost.
Okay.
But as a salmon dip, it was not really salmon. Anyway, back at the ranch.
Yeah.
Lorena hits 93 degrees on her thermometer. And the level of excitement is more than some winners of Bake Off have demonstrated when they got handed the cake plate.
Yeah, look, Lorena's enthusiasm.
Be your own cheer squad.
Absolutely. And look as amazing as Lorena does while you're doing it.
Okay, so the judging.
Yeah.
Melissa. Darren said it looked spectacular. The crust was spot on. The texture of the bread was excellent. They said, what is more, it is consistent. This is an excellent bake. We will leave that there. We've already made our point.
Yeah.
Elliott's, they said, looked fantastic, had a really good crust. Darren commented the structure was great. Rachel says that he captured the theme of the colours and it was well designed. Mm-hmm. The orange was really vibrant as well. Darren noted that it wasn't as light as he would have expected, but the flavour was still good.
Yeah.
Molly, they said a great job with the scoring. Darren said the texture was good and Rachel really loved the olives. Arvin, joyful and festive. The beer flavour gave it kind of an umami, they said, which was really nice. The crust was excellent, and the loaf itself was very light. Now, they loved Vicky's decorations, but they did say there wasn't enough scoring on it. They loved the honey flavour as well, but unfortunately, texture-wise, because of the no-need, slightly under because of the way the textures worked. Jason, they said it was fantastic scoring, good crust. Rachel loved the link between the visual and the flavour. Darren thought that the flavours were great.
Yeah.
Dimmy, the colours were vibrant, lots of flavour, but a bit dense internally.
Boo.
Lorena, they said it looked fun with a good crust and good flavour, and it was very airy.
She had glitter on hers.
She did. Jaden.
Yes.
They loved the texture with the wattle seed. Really good scoring. Darren loved the flavour of the wattle seed. They thought it was just superb again. I think Jaden did a really good job here.
Yeah, he's very consistent.
Like, this was the other thing. Like, Jaden, he had a bit of a bumpy week last week. This week was purely consistent.
Yeah.
And I think part of my other thing with the judging, I'll just give the last one quickly first. Adrian, they said no one else would do bread this way. There were a few air pockets, obviously, where he'd mixed the breads. One didn't prove properly, so it was a little bit doughy. Now, we know what happened in terms of everything else. The judging goes the way it goes. Jason is star baker, and obviously, unfortunately, Vicky goes home, and we'll come back to Vicky in a moment. Mm-hmm. But I think that with Jaden, but I think the other thing that bugged me with the judging was Jaden was consistent.
Yeah,
absolutely consistent. Like, he came third, I think, in the technical.
Yeah,
he was really good in the first bake. He was really good in the last bake. Jason jumped two of them who didn't really make a mistake to become star baker, and that, I think, bugged me a lot more too. The way that it was just, there were a couple of people that were good who hadn't really dropped anything that were jumped. That's, I think, what really irks me.
Look, I'm hoping that, the next episode we see just a bit of consistency with the judging. Like, you know, there's a lot going on. We're back in the shed.
We're also not saying that our opinion has to be the right one.
No. But there's probably a lot of stuff that went on that we don't know about. And that's the thing. We're only going from what we've seen on the show.
But what we're talking about is not...
And I love Darren.
But what we're talking about is not...
Friend of the show. Yeah. He's been on it once.
But what I'm talking about is it's not about our view has to be the right one.
No.
You could have, given any one star baker that you choose to, but you've got to make a better case for it. Not just feel like you've plucked it out of midair and then rewritten rules at the end of it. That's more what it's about. Like if Jaden ended up being star baker, it still would have been a bit baffling over Melissa, who didn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
But at least you can go, well, he was fairly consistent.
Yep.
So, that's more about it. And they commented that she has a knack of bold, vibrant designs that are delicious. So, the praise was incredible.
But to really wrap up this episode, barring the judging stuff, just that's what it is. How fucking great are these bakers?
They're amazing.
How much fun is how well planned out and thought out are the bakes for each for each category. And how much care and thought are going into it from the bakers themselves. I'm loving just what they're bringing to the table.
We're 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
And the baking quality is superb. And it's very watchable. They're very watchable.
Yeah.
Like, it's an enjoyable... We watch... Trust me. We watch a lot of Bake Off.
We do.
This is a very enjoyable series so far in terms of the quality of the bakers. It's really good to watch. So... Yeah. Long may it continue. Again, just a bit more consistency with the judging is all we're asking for.
Yeah, just settle in.
Exactly. Yeah. So with that in mind...
Stop screaming at the bees. And maybe just take a break from screaming at bees.
I wonder if Vicky went home because Darren screams at bees.
She's like, fuck you, Darren, you're the problem. And he's like, I'm just screaming at them because I'm going to miss them so much if they go extinct.
And a word to Vicky, who, of course, we also hope to hear from in very shortly as well. Obviously, a word for Vicky. I thought, again, some of her flavour ideas were really cool.
Yeah.
I loved her honey loaf idea at the end there. I thought that was great. I love the flavours that she had in the other ones.
Yeah.
I think she bakes some really fun stuff. And it's just a really good group.
I think she'd be someone fun to follow on Insta or one of her socials to see what else she's bringing to the table.
So with that in mind, we will catch everybody later. So until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you later.
Bzzz. Oi, bees! I'm screaming at ya!